I was wondering if you'd indulge me in a quick round of Trump trolling or Trump truthing.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, good.
Love it.
Rapid fire. Greenland joining America.
Definitely Trump truthing.
Oh. Canada becoming a 51st state.
Trump truthing all the way. And the Canadians would benefit greatly, let me tell you that.
And most importantly, Trump 2028.
Trump trolling, although the hats are flying off the shelves. Yes.
This week, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt holding briefings exclusively for members of the new media to mark President Trump's first 100 days in office and fulfill her day one promise to speak to all outlets. Well, my next guest was in attendance at one of these exclusive briefings, and he asked the White House about free speech asylum. Watch.
In Britain, we have had over a quarter of a million people issued non-crime hate incidents. As we speak, there are people in prison for quite literally reposting memes. Would the Trump administration consider political asylum for British citizens in such a situation?
Well, to your latter question, it's a very good one. I have not heard that proposed to the president, nor have I spoken to him about that idea, but I certainly can and talk to our national security team and see if it's something the administration would entertain.
Grammy Award-winning rock star and former banjoist with Mumford Sons, Winston Marshall, asked that question, and he joins me now. Winston, it's great to have you on the show. What a great question. I don't really make a pastime of gratuitous compliments, but it was unique, something we haven't thought about before, and a good question that highlights what exactly is happening over there in the UK.
Thanks, Will, and thanks for having me on the show. Yes, so actually, I asked two questions. I'd like to come to the one that you didn't show in a moment, because it's just as important. But I was asking about free speech because in Britain we have a real free speech crisis at the moment. This has happened under Conservative governments as well as Sir Keir Starmer's Labour government. And I mentioned non-crime hate incidents, of which there are 250,000 that have been issued for crimes as petty as a schoolgirl calling a classmate was saying that she smelt like fish. Another example is whistling the Bob the Builder theme tune at a neighbour. Quite literally anything that anyone might deem offensive, they can be booked under a non-crime hate incident. But I was more specifically referring to political speech, and there are several people who have been faced criminals charges for political speech, everything from transgressing on trans ideology, as the former police officer Harry Miller found out when he tweeted, I identify as a fish, don't misspecies me, and he got a knock on the door from the police. We've had journalists had the police turn up on at their doorsteps for things that they have written on X. I'm referencing Alison Pearson here. And ever since last year's terrible murders in Southport at the Taylor Swift dance party class, where 3 young girls horrifically lost their lives, and there were, after that, riots across the country. The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, also set up a task force to deal with misinformation online. And amongst the people cranked down on, we have one person who named Lee Dunn, who was charged 8 weeks for reposting memes. We had one girl called Cameron Bell who live-streamed the aftermath of the riots. She just live-streamed them on TikTok, and the aftermath, not even the riot itself, and she was given 9 months for that. And on the horizon, I have to mention this, is that the government are also currently discussing Islamophobia law, so it will be illegal to criticize Islam.
Well, with all that in mind that you've laid out for us, Winston, I'm curious what your response is to Keir Starmer when he sits in the White House and corrects Vice President J.D. Vance on the UK's dedication, long-standing, as he put it, dedication to the concept of free speech. What would you say to Keir Starmer?
Frankly, it was so ridiculous, I spit out my coffee and burst into laughter. I think most of my compatriots back home did the same. It's absolutely ludicrous. Now, I don't think that Keir Starmer is, or rather, I should say, the Conservative Party have been much better on this issue. But since Starmer has come to power, since July last year, things have only got worse. It's absolutely ludicrous that he might think that he is that he or Britain is a safe place for free speech today. So it's absurd, and I've already given some of those examples.
Right. Have you received a follow-up answer from Caroline Leavitt or the White House to your question? She said it was a good issue. She hadn't yet considered. She would discuss it with the president. I'm curious, have you yet heard an answer on whether or not there would be free speech asylum here in the U.S.?
She has said that she would talk about it with the administration. Since then, one senator, Senator Mike Lee, posted about it on X, indicating that he was considering it, and I won't betray the confidence of two individuals within the administration who have privately told me they really like the idea. So I don't think it's an idea that's necessarily going away. I would like to briefly talk about the other question I asked, because it's related to free speech as well, and our tariff trade deals. So I asked, you'll remember your Vice President, J.D. Vance, saying at the Munich conference in February how important free speech was to America, and how concerned he was seeing the state of it, or the censorious nature of Europe and Britain today. He referenced someone who'd been arrested and charged for praying an Alex Smith Connor outside an abortion clinic, and he's continued to push this. Now, he has said, no free speech, no deal. Our business secretary, Jonathan Reynolds, has said in the negotiations with the U.S. Commerce Department that there's been no mention of free speech. So this is a really key thing that I want to understand. Is free speech now no longer on the table? And I didn't get a clear answer from Madam Leavitt, but she seemed to say it was important still for J.D. Vance.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, Winston, you asked some very intrepid and interesting questions today at that press conference. Should we speak to the vice president or anyone else in the administration who's dealing with these tariff negotiations? We will find out if a dedication to free speech is a requirement to striking a deal over tariffs. And I appreciate you bringing up this issue, because free speech is not just an American issue, but it's a founding concept of Western civilization. And we appreciate you being a champion, Winston Marshall.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.